Hello everybody, my name is Dwayne Massey and welcome back to my YouTube channel and my YouTube video entitled An Introduction to Sports Psychology Part 1. Lecture material that go along with this video can be found on my website www.masseyinstitute.com. If you want to stop this video at this point and download these materials, please do so. Go to the website, select the lecture material tab, select the title of this video, and print out the associated material. You can then follow along on it as the video progresses. You may restart the video when you are ready to do so. Let's go ahead and get started. The roots of psychology go back to at least 1879. The field was reputedly founded by Wilhelm Wundt, who was a German gentleman. The same country who brought us 2 world wars in the 20th century also gave us psychology. Go figure. Psychology is considered the youngest of all sciences, and some dispute whether it's a science at all. This is because there are no hard and fast rules as there are in the hard sciences like chemistry or physics. Reactions are not predictable. There's rarely a definitive outcome when people are involved. And people have an interesting way of acting and responding in ways we don't expect or anticipate. All of you who have children out there know what I'm talking about. Psychology can be defined as the systematic study of people and their behavior and mental processes. Psychology focuses on attributes and processes that take place within the individual. These include motivation, perception, cognition, self-esteem, self-confidence, attitudes, and personality. This is opposed to sociology, which focuses on the study of human society and social behavior, particularly how human beings relate to each other in groups. I'm not going to discuss it here, but I have provided you information on the major sub-areas of psychology on my website, www.masseyinstitute.com. If you're interested, I encourage you to check it out. I'm also not going to discuss it here, but information related to selected facts about psychology can also be found on my website, and I encourage you to check that out. Sports psychology can be defined as the systematic study of people and their behavior in a sport and exercise context and the practical application of that knowledge. I once taught a sport law class, and I can remember the first day of class and a student raising their hand and asking, "Dr. Massey, what is sport law?" I thought about it a minute and my answer was, sport law is nothing more than the application of the law to sports. I think the same thing applies to sports psychology. It is the application of psychological principles to sports and athletics. The roles of the sports psychologist include the research role, doing research to add to the body of knowledge in the field of sports psychology. The teaching role, teaching courses like exercise psychology. How do we encourage people to exercise and how do we get them to keep exercising? Applied sports psychology, the application of psychological principles to sports. And the social psychology of sports, where we examine the relationships that occur in sports and athletics. The consulting role. The U.S. Olympic Committee employs sports psychologists to work with our Olympic athletes. Major universities. In some cases, these institutions will employ the services of a sports psychologist. Professional sports teams often recognize the benefits of having a sports psychologist available to work with their athletes. Athletes themselves, who have long recognized the benefits that sports psychology could have for them as it relates to improved performance. Clinics and workshops, where the sports psychologist can share their knowledge and expertise with others. The fitness industry, where the sports psychologist can be involved in designing exercise programs and finding ways to maximize participation. And sports medicine, providing psychological services to injured athletes, We now know that the mind and the body are connected. Anything that affects the mind also affects the body and vice versa. If you are having negative thoughts, it can prolong your recovery time from injury. If you were like me, anytime you had a serious injury, the first thing that went through my head was, am I going to be able to get back to where I was before the injury? A sports psychologist can help an athlete deal with and cope with these issues. What do sports psychologists do? They develop performance improvement programs. They use psychological techniques for the selection, screening, and counseling of athletes. They help improve communication between player to player, between player and coach, and between coach to coach. They provide crisis intervention. They help the individual through crisis situations such as the death of a parent or grandparent, giving the kid what they need when they need it. They provide ongoing consultative and program development services. And they function as therapists, if the person has the education and expertise to be able to do that. Some reasons for sports psychology include the pursuit of excellence by athletes. Athletes were the first to recognize the potential of sports psychology. Athletes are always looking for a leg up on their competition, anything that will give them an advantage over their opponents. Sports is a political tool. Goes back to at least the ancient Olympic Games. Hitler used the 1936 Berlin Olympics to promote his theories of Aryan superiority. Did not work out so well for him. The Soviet Union was notorious in using sports to promote their communist ideology. The high salaries in sports. Sports is big business. There's a lot of money involved and a lot of pressure on athletes to perform. The recognition gained from sports. Sports can be a means for enhancing feelings of self-esteem and self-worth, and these feelings can be carried over to other areas of the person's life. Spectator interest. Millions of people watch sports on a weekly basis, and there are vicarious benefits that can be derived from just watching sports. And a sports psychologist can do a lot to promote and enhance these benefits. The fitness movement. Again, how do we encourage people to exercise, and how do we motivate them to stick to an exercise program? That wraps up our discussion today on an introduction to the discipline of sports psychology, part 1. In our next video, we will continue our focus on sports psychology as a discipline. In conclusion, as always, I hope something we said today was useful and had some relevance to you. Be on the lookout for my next video, which I hope to post in the relatively near future. Again, be sure to check out my webpage, www.masseyinstitute.com, of which I am very proud. Additional information about sports psychology and the topics discussed can be found there. Also, if you like what you see today, be sure to subscribe to this channel. And be sure to leave comments, as I'm interested in what you think of these efforts. Thank you so much for watching today.